Welcome to Spotlight Television and our brand new series for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. They say that entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't. Today, every youngster wants to become an entrepreneur, but without a concrete and unique idea, they make mistakes in their ventures while embarking on their journey, which lead to failure and disappointment. What they, and for that matter, every budding entrepreneur needs to realize is that entrepreneurship is not a cakewalk and is not as simple as it seems to be. In this series, we'll bring you conversations and interviews with small business entrepreneurs from all over the country whose stories and experiences will help you out in commencing your entrepreneurial journey in a successful manner. Joining me today is Bruce DeYoung, founder and president of Ames Power. Bruce started Ames in his garage in 2001 in Reno, Nevada. He devoted late nights to developing truly unique inverter designs and researching the needs of the renewable energy markets. And he succeeded. Armed with just a college degree and a little business experience, Ames Power was born. Bruce has been designing, developing, and bringing to market the most extensive line of inverters available. Bruce, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Rick.
All right. Well, how you doing today? And we appreciate you taking the time and joining us. Bruce is the owner, like I mentioned, of Ames Power, designs and contract manufacturers. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Well, Ames Power is primarily an off-grid and portable power company that started 20 years ago as mostly a sourcing company for cell phone batteries and modified sign inverters. Over time, our products were customer-driven into a complete line of off-grid power equipment and portable power and OEM applications.
Now, for someone who is like myself, not in that business, what does that even mean? What does it look like to somebody from the outside? Where would they recognize your products?
Well, the easiest comparison is probably a gasoline generator.
Okay.
A power inverter is basically converts battery power into household electricity, and it's really the core of off-grid power. So with that said, you need a means to recharge your battery bank so that the inverter keeps a fresh supply, just like you would have to refuel a gas tank in a generator. So that's where you get the whole off-grid that could be fed and repowered by solar panels, hydro, power generator, or city power even to recharge the battery bank and keep the electricity flowing.
Wow, I'm sure Texas would have wished they had you guys around recently. Hey, let me ask you this real quick, Bruce, because again, this is something that I think when people hear, power inverter and stuff like that, they get a little confused, but you made it a little easier to understand when you're talking about the correlation to a generator. Now, how did you, in particular, come to this type of business? Where'd you get your start, and how did Ames Power itself get its start?
Well, I started about 40-something years ago in school, just a trade school, learning electrical engineering, and got my first job at Lockheed as a electrical tech, and worked there for 5 years, transferred to a Synoptics, which was a router company for back in the beginning days of the internet. And I was a test engineer there and did some engineering. And my brother actually had one of the first cell phone stores in the Bay Area, and he was sourcing or buying a lot of aftermarket cell phone accessories, from the bag phone, the Ultra Classic, StarTax, all that stuff. So from there, he and his partner at the time decided they wanted to start importing their own accessories rather than buying from another reseller. Unfortunately, there were two sales guys trying to run a business, and that's when they brought me in to do more product testing and sourcing and negotiating with the factories and running the business. So I kind of learned a lot there. And then in the dot-com craze in the late 90s, we sold that business to igo.com, which was a dot-commer, moved us up to Reno from the Bay Area. And I worked there for a very brief stint and then started my own business once my non-compete was up, and it was AIMS at the time, which was Asian Import and Manufacturing Services, because that's what I thought I was going to do. It quickly turned into AIMS Power because the power inverter part of the business really took off after I landed a customer that was a catalog company. The catalog company really got my name out there, but customers really wanted a more variety of the power inverters, not just the off-the-shelf modified sine inverters. So that's really where I shined. I was a small company, self-funded, no capital raise, and basically was working out of the garage at the time and was eager for more business. Well, the business I got was kind of the specialty inverter. I had big competitors with deep pockets. They had the broad market covered, the RV industry and all the huge the grid tied industry. They had the big industry covered. So I ended up developing a lot of specialty inverters. And from that, I started getting more into the off-grid power as the power in the U.S. became less stable, hurricanes, natural disasters, fires, everything. So then I started converting more into a general power company, off-grid power company, and added power to the name in '05. So that's AIMS Power. That's where we're at now.
All right. And did you this kind of led you down the road to become an entrepreneur? You kind of put all these pieces together. You leveraged some connections here and there, got some exposure, and all of a sudden you find yourself kind of it's almost like you're creating your own market, right?
It is true, yeah. I really didn't plan. I didn't have a 20-page or 50-page business plan. I was just trying to get by and until I could find another job or something. And it just kept working out, and I kept growing every year for 20 years now. It's over 17.5% growth average.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been quite successful and quite by accident, just because I really get into the products, and when I talk to a customer and they can't find something to fulfill their needs and they have enough demand, I'll work with them to make it happen.
Wow. Well, that's great to know. And especially, again, when you're talking about kind of carving your own niche. Now, within the industry itself, because it is, kind of, it's definitely expanding, as you mentioned, with power being not as stable as it has been. Any interesting trends that you might see coming down?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of major interesting trends, I think. One would be in the RV industry, RV and marine industry, where you see almost every RV now being produced with some sort of solar panel on it. I actually just came back from Elkhart last week, visited a bunch of the largest manufacturers, and they're still learning about the solar, even though they're putting them on these things, and but they're very interested. They want to do it right. So they're really having a lot of long talks with us, and we're going to design some really cool systems for them. And then I'm sure the marine industry is doing the same. We're less into the marine industry, but hoping to get there soon. Another big trend is the home market. In the past, there's been a lot of net metering and grid feed and stuff like that. But when they shut off power, or when the grid goes down, which is the city power, then you lose your power in your house too, even though you might have 20 or 30 or 40 solar panels on it. The new trend now really is to have your own power supply in the house, which is, Tesla may be driven it a little bit with the power wall, but we have similar products and big battery banks so that when the power does go down, you can still use your panels and battery bank to power your own house. Right. A lot of it was regulation driven also.
Now, do you see a lot more, I want to say not industry, but maybe individual customers coming in? You mentioned homes and such. Do you see that coming down as a possible avenue as you expand your business and you keep going forward?
Exactly. So that's going to be this year, end of this year's major development for us, or growth strategy for us. is exactly what you just said, Rick, is we're going to release a product line of inverters that will load share in the house. So that means that whatever your solar panels produce, it'll put into your house up until the point it either can put it in a battery bank for backup or net meter it. And if it's not producing enough to fully power the house, then the city power will supplement. So it'll work with the city power to seamlessly provide the power in the house, but also at the same time work for backup power.
Right. Now, what are some of the challenges, that you've probably faced in the past? And again, thinking entrepreneurially, looking forward, are there anything that you see that could be a potential issue? And how do you prepare for those kind of challenges?
Well, regulation is always a big issue, right? We have to go to the UL Intertech labs to get our products certified to ever connect into the grid or work in a house. It's a little easier when you're on the road or off the grid, but those are unforeseeable things for a small company. And when you deal with the government, it could get quite expensive to get your products certified to be allowed to operate the way I want them to. So that could be one big potential roadblock for us in the house market.
Right.
But we're very excited. We've been talking to some big home builders, and we want to become one of the standard OEMs in new construction, which will feed down into the aftermarket.
Yeah, because let's face it, people need homes. And with the push forward, I mean, everybody's looking for solar panels now. They're trying to keep power costs down. This can really kind of open up that segment that you were just talking about, right? As you make your push forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now let me ask you this: do you have any advice for entrepreneurs? And again, you found yourself kind of as an accidental entrepreneur, right? Because as you said, you were looking for your next job, and all of a sudden 20 years later you've just continued to grow a company that you kind of created just to kind of get you to that next place. Yeah,
I think the keys are to really enjoy what you do and understand what you're getting into. If you're a chef, maybe get a restaurant. You don't want to sell power inverters. The way I went about it was very conservative, self-funded, work out of the house, get a small warehouse, get a bigger one, get a bigger one, get a bigger one, get a bigger one. And that worked for me because I'm comfortable, debt-free, 100% self-controlled, no partners. A lot of the new businesses, they may raise $10 million, $100 million, whatever they do. That's a different way. I don't understand that strategy per se. It's not my thing. More of an engineering type. I like the products. And so I just let the products drive our sales. I've never had a sales force, yet we've grown 17.5% a year, average for 20 years. So hopefully we can continue the growth without a sales force. Or maybe I'll have to hire some more salespeople. I don't know.
Well, you know what? Some great stuff right there. And again, Bruce, it's a kind of an amazing story as you kind of pieced it all together and look at yourself now. Real quick, as you look forward in the next year, 2 years coming up, anything that you think your leading aims power to?
Oh, absolutely. I kind of mentioned a little bit. We're really we partnered with one of the largest distributors for the RV industry that is local and has a huge sales force. They are going to be our partners in the RV OEM industry and possibly the aftermarket down the road. We just partnered with them a month ago. We've had great meetings. We're really going to push the RV industry to be ahead of the curve when it comes to portable power and maintaining their batteries and being able to boondock and live off the grid and go on the road and not have to worry about filling up the gas tanks all the time and stuff like that. So that's one. And then the home builders is going to be another key. We're looking at that direct with the home builders. We've got the product line in the works, getting it listed right now. We're going to do we got some manuals and graphics to do, but once that's all done, later this year, we're going to go to production. And I really think It's going to be the wave of the future. Every home should have some sort of backup power. Everybody's read about power outages, whether it's in Texas for the ice rain, or it's in Florida for the hurricanes, or California for the wildfires. It's everywhere.
True.
It's not going to get better.
Yeah, and you guys are on top of it. And again, Bruce, thank you so much for joining us today. We've truly appreciated it. Great stuff.
Hey, the pleasure was all mine, Rick. I love being here. Thanks for having me.
Well, Bruce, this has been a great conversation. I'm sure the viewers have absorbed a lot of great information. I want to thank you for joining us, and I want to thank you, the viewers, for watching. Until next time, I'm Rick Delgado, and this is Spotlight Television.